Welcome everyone to another live session. I don't know what to call these. Actually, this is sort of the first of its type that I'm doing. This is the first sort of live stream where it's more of a, well, I call it the help desk, because I've been getting, ever since I started playing Cities Skylines back in 2015 or something like that, I've been getting similar questions constantly all across, YouTube, Twitter, I guess Twitch as well, even the Steam Workshop. So I figured to, create a space where I can answer repeated questions over and over again. And, at the same time, I can actually show you certain things instead of just describing them in the form of text. It is 10 a.m. Pacific time right now where I'm streaming. It's, just for the record, is December 8th, 2018 as well. And before we begin, actually, I'm just going to switch to the game real quick. Before we begin, let me know where you're watching from. Which country, state, city, whatever you want to describe your general area or vicinity. I would love to know where that is from. In the meantime, what you're looking on the screen right now is Nidal, because I was going to switch to like a test city that I put together a while back, but I'm still kind of working on this project. I was hoping to get a few things ironed out this weekend, and I really didn't want to switch all the assets, which takes quite a bit of time. This is what it looks like. Also start sending me your questions. I'm gonna do my best to answer all of them if I can. I'm gonna be streaming for about an hour or so, kind of the usual length of my streams, and also let me know if the audio levels are okay. And and the locations start rolling in. Holy crap! By the way, I'm doing a dual stream as usual, as I've been doing lately on Twitch and on YouTube. So if you have a preference over one platform or the other, twitch.tv/strictoster and youtube.com/strictoster. Twitch is significantly more less latency. It's closer to the time where I'm reading things. So we have people from Northern Virginia. We have people from the Netherlands, 7 p.m. in the Netherlands, apparently. We have people from the UK, from England, from Germany, from Poland, from Romania. I'm actually skipping duplicates, but there's multiple people from several of these locations. People from New York, Dallas, Holland. Hang on, chat is going really quick. Lithuania, Costa Rica, nice. More people from Sweden, Belgium, Austria, Texas, Bournemouth, UK, Finland, Gothenburg in Sweden. I hope I got that right. People from Michigan, more people from Germany, St. Petersburg, Russia. Whoa, man, that must be really cold up there. And by the way, I can already see questions in between the locations. If you don't mind repeating those after I do the round of locations, that'd be great, because the chat is going way too fast. I can't read it. Someone's saying on Twitch, our questions on Twitch will be answered faster. Probably, basically. There's also less people watching on Twitch, significantly less people. There's 200 people watching on YouTube right now and 20 on Twitch, so that might also give you an edge. And Super Chat will definitely give you an edge. I'll answer 100% of those. All right, people from Poland, from Argentina, from France, from Holland, from Cleveland, from Italy, from Bulgaria, from more people from Russia, Southeast Virginia. Wow, I don't know why that was so hard. Also from Norway, France, Bulgaria. Holy crap. All right. Well, thank you so much to everyone for tuning in. Just start sending me your questions. In the meantime, let me tell you something that I'm really disappointed that just happened. So I've been kind of ranting about getting a better GPU with more VRAM so that I can improve the frame rate of Nidal in general, just Cities Skylines in general, but primarily Nidal. So I'm currently running on the 1080 Ti, and the frame rate is literally the same as it was on my 980 Ti. So I'm really disappointed at that. I thought there was going to be a better, just look at this, it's crazy. If I look outside of the map, it gets a little bit better, but man, it's kind of annoying. All right, let's see. Daniel has a question. Says, I stopped playing CS for a year now and I'd like to start again, but I don't know which mods to download and assets because there are too many. Any help? Yes, actually. So, a broad question like that, I would point you to a video that I made. It's literally a 2-hour live stream that I hosted about 2 months ago or 3 months ago, where I actually went through the basic, most essential mods and how to use them. So what I'm going to do now is actually going to give you the link on the chat. Actually, I'm going to post it on both chats. That way you can watch that, because obviously it will be a way longer answer. So I recommend you watch that. There's timestamps in the description of that video. It's a 2-hour video, but you can just skip it. To the different mods are all like properly outlined in the description, so that might be easier for you to find answers to what you're looking for. And if you still have questions after that, I'm probably going to keep hosting, depending on how this one goes. I'm probably going to host more of these streams, so I'll be happy to answer even extra questions. All right, I'm pulling the link right now. Let me see. I need like a bot that would do this for me. Essential mods for Cities Skylines. All right, so I'm pasting it on YouTube a couple times, and I'm pasting it on Twitch now. Someone's saying, are you planning on improving your PC? Well, I mean, my PC is pretty beefy. Like, it's as good as it gets. The issue is the game is not really optimized. They didn't plan the game for this amount of detail. So, I mean, this is just what it is. There's really no, like, even if I get a 2080 Ti, it wouldn't make any difference at this point. I was told that VRAM will improve because my 980 Ti before has only 6 gigs of VRAM video RAM, that's dedicated RAM for the GPU, whereas this one is 11, so basically almost double. And there's like, I mean, it loaded a little bit faster, but really not a major improvement. Let me zoom in on a place where at least you can see pretty things happening. Let's see. Why does network extensions not allow me to zone roads? Is that a thing? Well, first of all, I guess it's important. I don't really zone anymore. I just plop things. But one common problem that I found, and not just network extensions, if I'm not mistaken, this one is from network extensions. Let me go out of tunnel mode. So, if you don't see the grid when you lay down a road, there's certain roads that don't have zonable grids on the sides, but there's an option. Well, that's the thing. I don't have that mod, but there's a mod that allows you to disable this. So that's probably why it's not allowing you to zone, because you have there should be a menu somewhere down here that toggles this grid on and off, and that's probably what you have turned off. So make sure to look for that and disable it. So I'm sorry I can give you a more specific answer or a more clear answer, but I know there's a mod that messes up with that, which I don't have, but that's what you should be looking for, because network extension works fine. There's really no known bugs related to that. Let's see. Someone says you still have better framing than me. Yeah, I mean, if you can consider this good framing, I'm so used to it, honestly. I really don't even notice anymore. Hey, what's your Twitch name? My Twitch name is Strict Toaster. I'm basically Strict Toaster. I was lucky enough to get my vanity URLs on every single website. So twitter.com/Strict Toaster, twitch.tv/Strict Toaster, youtube.com/Strict Toaster. Those are like my main 3 things. I have a Facebook page too that's also /Strict Toaster, but I kind of abandoned that a while back, so not longer updating it. Also, why is the music stopped? Did my computer die? Oh yeah. Like my second computer died. Hang on, let me plug it in because I've been running off of batteries. There you go, buddy. Some juice for you. Okay, let's see. Yeah, there are no mods on Twitch since I'm sort of like rebuilding my audience, because I used to stream exclusively on Twitch, and I'm slowly trying to rebuild my audience. It's been a little bit sleepy. Let's see. How many mods do you have together? So right now on this project I can literally send you the list of mods that I have, because I have a collection. By the way, if you're getting started with mods, I highly encourage you to create a collection. It's really not too hard. Here, let me show you a trick. Can I switch to full screen monitor capture? Let me do this real quick. We're gonna do some crazy things just because I can. Okay, so let me show you. I think I don't have any secret collections here, but so I basically create collections for every single one of my projects, and that way it makes it really easy to switch between projects and also to debug potential issues. B-Schoolhausen is in the chat. He's saying, how can I make more consistent videos? Yeah, you're gonna need to, I can give you, if you want to support my Patreon page, I can give you, I can make a video specifically about that. What I was saying is collections. I highly encourage you to create collections. It really doesn't take a lot of time to create collections and maintain them. It's pretty straightforward. And then it's really easy to not only switch between multiple save-ins that you might have, but at the same time, if you need to debug issues, like for example, sometimes mods don't work well together, and in order to figure out which one doesn't work together, if there are no descriptions or any known issues, especially after game updates, having a collection makes it easy to just unsubscribe to everything temporarily and then one by one turn things on, or split collections in half and rule out problems that way. And in order, but by the way, this is my mod collection to answer the previous question. So right now I have 71 mods. These are only mods, no assets. My assets are in a different collection. And the way you create collections, I mean, you can create your collection from the collections menu. It's really annoying the way they did it, by the way. It took me like forever the other day to figure out how to actually, you need to like go browse collections and then you create a collection from here, which is annoying. But once you create your collection, whenever you find an asset that you like, you just click add to collection here, and it will pull up all your lists, all the collections in your list, and then you just check it and click OK, and then you're done. And then once you go back to your collection, let's go back here. All you have to do is click subscribe all or unsubscribe all. And that way things are easy. For mods specifically, you need to remember to turn them on in the content manager of the game. They just won't automatically work. You need to enable them. Assets will automatically work, but mods will not. Wow, there's a lot of questions. I don't even know where to begin. Let's see. Someone's saying there are 2 broken mods that break zoning, network extensions project, and new roads for network extensions 2. The only correct one to use is network extensions 2. Yeah, network extensions, there's a couple of versions actually. Let's look at that real quick. Yeah, this is the one I'm currently subscribed to. This one is like really old. You can usually tell by when it was updated. November 29th, 2016. That's 2 years ago. So that's, if a mod of this caliber hasn't been updated in a while, probably not gonna work. As opposed to Network Extensions 2, which was updated on June this year, which is, significantly higher odds of this working. But Network Extensions is kind of no longer needed-ish. It has some interesting road networks, but since the game now allows people to create their own custom routes in-game with the network, it's not called network extensions, it's just like network custom networks. This is no longer needed. There's a lot of amazing just network assets in the workshop in general, so highly recommend you check those out instead. Do you plan on building an Eastern European city? Not for the moment. Let's see. Wow, there's a lot of questions related to zoning on network extensions. I'm trying to weed out questions from random comments. Sorry, it's taking me a while. Someone's asking me, do you like history and social studies or / social studies? I like history. Yes, I didn't like it very much in school, but I like learning about historical events. But like, it's not like my passion or anything. I just like find it interesting, and sometimes I would watch a couple of videos or documentaries on the matter. But that's as far as I will go. Do you have a computer with how much RAM? 16 or 32 gigs? Your videos look consistently. Your videos looks consistent on running without crashes. Yeah, my game rarely. I've only experienced one crash this year with Cities Skylines. I remember because I lost like 15 minutes of work because I also have autosave turned on, which I encourage you to do that. It's annoying, I know, but it's more annoying to lose 2 hours worth of work. And I have 32 gigs of RAM to answer your question. Actually, you know what? In the meantime, let's just follow a car. It might be a much nicer thing to look at. Please stop. There we go. So 32 gigs of RAM. Nidal, it's consuming only. Here, let me pull. I think it's consuming like 20 gigs of RAM or something. Actually, no, less than that. How do I task manager? There we go. So these are here. I'll show you. These are my specs right now. It's using almost 100% of my CPU, my GPU memory, and in terms of actual RAM, it's using just shy of 16, and it's there's a little bit page, but I think this is just Windows usage, not really the game. So this gives you an idea. In terms of CPU, I have an old CPU, but it's not even using all of it. So this is why I'm telling, like, even if I upgrade any of these components, it really wouldn't make much of a difference. I guess the only thing that would make a difference is if I get a GPU with more memory, but I think like Titans have more memory than this, and that will be ridiculous and probably work worst overall, at least for gaming. I think those are like for scientific studies and crap like that. So yeah, let me switch to the game capture. I think it's a bit more efficient. Yeah, someone saying that for the network extension zoning issue, there's a icon at the bottom that has like 4 squares. I remember seeing that, but I no longer have that mod. If someone remembers, yeah, the 2080 Ti has the same issue. It's basically a 1080 Ti on steroids, but doesn't really improve all that much. If someone has the name of that mod that toggles zoning on and off, let me know. That way I can relay the information to everyone else. But I actually don't have it. So let's see. Anyone else think vanilla buildings suck? Some of them suck. But if you know, oh, we lost the car. Got into that building. You know what we should follow? We should follow trams, because trams never despawn. Let's look for a tram. Also slow down the game, that's why it's kind of like choppy, but at least you get to see more of the city this way. Where's the tram? I thought we had some. Also, I noticed this the other day. I put together like a little clip on on Twitter, and I saw this like hole in the ground. I don't know what. Let's see if we can fix this. There we go. Just a glitchy network. Sometimes crap like that is easily fixable. Nothing to worry about. Let's follow a garbage truck for now. There we go. Let's see. Will you ever revisit Sinu? Probably not. I don't even. It probably won't even load at this point. Quite a few of those modes that I used back then are probably no longer operational, unfortunately. I'm having a lot of glitches with public transfer. Am I the only one? What can you be more specific? Which type of glitches are you having? I certainly haven't had any, but it's whenever you have like weird behavior, it's most likely caused by a couple mods, either a buggy mod or 2 mods trying to do the same thing, or just, you know, fighting each other to the death. And that's when you encounter unexpected behaviors. Man, all these things keep despawning. All right, you're not gonna despawn. Wow, you're losing a lot of money. Great. That's what I would like to see. A proper mass transit network needs to lose money. That's usually how it goes. How long does it take for my save to load? My save takes about, I was just doing some math right before the start of the stream. It's taking about between 10 and 15 minutes. It used to take like 3 minutes, but I think after Park Life, the Park Life update, things have started not being as optimized as before. I don't know exactly if it was related to a game expansion or just loading screen mod. By the way, you absolutely need to get loading screen mod. That's like a must. Even if you're playing vanilla, you need to have that mod. It will just improve your game performance noticeably. Again, even if you play vanilla, even if you have a toaster of a computer or a potato of a computer. Toaster of a computer is a good computer because it's a toaster computer. That's a terrible joke. Moving on. Hey, Yothrace, how's it going, sir? Sounds like the DC Metro now. Yeah, kind of. Sounds like every metro from every metropolitan city. How do you place growable buildings without them despawning? All right, this is a question that I get all the time. This is what you do. You need a mod for that. And that mod is called Plop the Growables. And I'll show it to you on the screen in a second, if I can. Hang on, let me pull it up. So this is the mod that you want. Plop, because I can type, the Growables by TPB. Amazing mod. So yeah, you just get this mod, you enable it in the content manager, and that's it. You're good to go. You can, I mean, you're gonna need to find it is one of the required items because otherwise you can't find vanilla buildings. So once you have the mod enabled, you can just simply go to find it, click Growable if you want to filter them this way. And let's say we want a commercial building. Let's zoom in here real quick. All you have to do next is just put it down and you're golden. Now this building is well, actually it's not a vanilla building. It is a growable building. It's not necessarily vanilla, but you can place vanilla buildings as well. Let's find like a really obvious vanilla building like this one. This one's pretty obvious. Obviously vanilla. I think these were improved a little bit. Textures don't look great, but yeah. This one, yeah, it's not gonna despawn. It's just gonna stay like that. You can make it historical. I don't know what this does. Visual appearance will be preserved. I don't know what this means, but visually, with prop the girls, at least for me, like visually they never change. So I don't know what this is about, but I guess you can also click on this if you really want to make sure that this doesn't change in any way, shape, or form. You have the game on an SSD. That should help loading times. Yeah, of course. I've never have not run this game on an SSD. In fact, for a while I was running it on an NVMe drive, but I didn't really notice that much of a difference. So now I have like an old SSD that it has not a lot of capacity. It's like a 120 gig SSD. That's where I'm currently running the game out of. Let's see what's taking place here. Are you gonna make your turn? I guess you guys are waiting for each other. Great. Let's follow you again. How do you plan your interchanges? Well, I really don't. I just have roads that kind of meet in the middle, and then I just delete the chunk where they meet and try to connect them in the most aesthetically pleasing way. You know, I tend to go for what they called form over function. I mean, obviously I want things to make sense, but I tend to, care more about how they look than how they work. Obviously, I wouldn't have a interchange that has like tons of traffic, and it wouldn't really work. But I rather them look nice than anything else. And I sometimes I would go on Google Maps to get ideas, if that's more what you were asking. Just to, you know, get inspired by the different types of interchanges. But I'm never like, oh, I want to make a cloverleaf interchange, or what is it called, the other one, like a dog bone interchange, or a trumpet, or reverse trump. Like, I just do, like, pick a shape that looks nice and I call it a day. That's usually what I do. Would you recommend high texture setting on a GTX 1066 gigs? Yeah, for sure. And by the way, here, okay, let me make something clear. Whenever you're not sure about anything, like if this is gonna work in your system or not, because let's say you don't have like the most high-end computer in the world, just try it. Like, nothing bad will happen. Worst case scenario, the game will crash or Windows will crash. You just restart your computer and you're done. Like, it's not gonna break your save game or break your game forever, or just destroy your Steam account and your credit card. Like, none of that's gonna happen. Just give it a shot, try it. If it doesn't work, lower the settings, try it again until you get to a point where you're comfortable playing and the game doesn't crash. Just keep trying things. And this applies for everything in life, I guess, but primarily for mods and assets in Cities Skylines. Just keep trying things. How do you have so little traffic? I don't know. I have a pretty good mass transit network, so most people tend to, and by the way, my pretty good transit network is literally 2 tram lines, but also it's a pretty small city, so, you know, there's like 11,000 people here. Let's take a look real quick. Yeah, 11,000. So yeah, that's mostly why there's not that much traffic. And yeah, and people tend to prefer riding on trams more than anything else. Ooh, that was zoomed in way too close. I need to get rid of all those caravans. They don't really make that much sense in the city. There are a lot of them. There's a lot of RVs too, which are weird. It's clipping through buildings. That's always nice. See, the frame rate is nicer now when I'm looking at the ground. So this is, I'm hoping this is mostly watchable. I mean, you won't break your computer unless you're like doing, if you start like overclocking stuff, that might actually break your computer. So, you know, be careful with that. But it's not like just loading any piece of software in your computer is not gonna break it. Jay was saying, Beast House, I'm sorry, was saying historic buildings are a new vanilla feature from Industries. They keep the visual appearance but allow the building to level up secretly. I didn't even notice that buildings changed visually. That's okay. The more you know. Have you ever made a profitable city? Yeah. The only reason why this one was profitable until like a week ago. The only reason why it's not profitable right now is because I added a ton of power plants because I didn't want to be bothered with power. But give it another couple of weeks and the population will be enough that all that extra power is going to be paid off in taxes. It's really, I mean, honestly, managing traffic and profit in this game is not too hard. The only reason why I play with unlimited money is because I don't want to wait for things. I just want to build things as I feel like it. Obviously, I'm playing from an aesthetic point of view, but honestly, the challenges in this game are pretty straightforward. That's why I don't really play vanilla or anything like that. Your clock tower has dead people. I did notice that, but it's possible. There's dead people everywhere in the city. Authorist says, how do you deal with buildings that have default parking spot in an awkward default spots? Assuming you're either hider or something. Yeah, so whenever you... Here, I'll show everyone, because this is something that this is the only way I can actually use vanilla buildings. If it wasn't due to this tool, I wouldn't use vanilla buildings. So let me put down, what is this? I don't even know what this is. Biofuel Bus Depot. So I'm gonna put this down. Let's see, does it have parking lots? It doesn't. Let's find one with actual parking lots. Yeah, go away. What about this one? Parking lot. Yeah, okay, so this one does have these attached parking lots. I'm guessing you're talking about these, right? So in order to get rid of all of this, so usually when I play this game, what I would do is like, oh, I'm gonna grab the building, I'm gonna have it be closer to the ground, to the road, and then I'll, you know, this connection here to the entrances, I will probably do something like this, where I'll grab these parking lot roads. Great, amazing asset, which I highly recommend if you don't have it. And I would do something like this. And then I want to grab, and by the way, I'm like improvising right now. I'm not really doing this, but I would just level it out using Move It and the Align Heights tool, which I have a secret mod that no one has, because I'm trying out a beta of a version of for Move It, so I don't want to get into that. That's coming out soon anyways. So you can select 2 nodes and click on this and align the height to this node, so now they're all like perfectly flat. So then I will grab this, like kind of percent it over the building, and then I want to move the building enough so that it sort of matches, you know, this row that I put down. I mean, obviously I'm not doing it perfectly right now, but something like this would potentially work. I can even like make it look like that. So now all these garages have like an entrance, you know, whatever, making it pretty. But we have this issue with the parking lots in front, which are like weird and unnecessary. So in this case, what I would do is you go into Prop It Up, which is another mod that you should get. And in Prop It Up, you just go to the Props tab first, and then you click on the building that you want, and somewhere in this list, there should be parking spaces 01, parking space 02. 01, I think, is the one with the handicap spot. Parking spaces 02 is the one, the plain one. So you just click that. It tells you that you can't undo this action. It's true, you can't undo it in game, but you can undo it. There's like an XML that you can edit in your game folder, so you can, if you don't like this change, you can retrieve it back manually if that's really what you want to do. I never had to do that ever in my life. If it were for me, I would love like remove all props button, and I will click on that every single time and then just manually add all my details. But in this case, that one is gone, and then you just click on the second one, undo, and boom, that is gone. So that car is still parked there, but if you start the simulation and you like alter the location of the building like that, it will update and the car will be gone, and no more cars will ever park there, ever, forever and ever. So hopefully that made sense. It's a nice looking bus depot right here on this road. I'm not gonna leave it because this whole area is left empty on purpose, but you'll find out what I'm gonna put in here in a future episode of Night. Hopefully not too in the future. Let's see. Someone's saying, which mod are the buildings in Night from? Really beautiful stuff. Oh man, this is just a combination of things. They're not one single mod, so it's usually a good idea if you want to use the appropriate language for describing things. I've been called out on this early when I was starting playing Cities Skylines videos. Mods are things like actual pieces of software that alter how the game works, and assets are like the actual buildings, like the visual, like, and the props and everything like that. Just, you know, what you see. So I think where you're actually asking about is where I get the assets from. They're not part of any mod. It's just a combination of people's assets that I have. There's a link that I can show you. Actually, I can bring this up here. If you follow me on Steam as well, you can find a collection down here. This is the main collection. One is just for mods, the one I just showed earlier in the stream. And also have a collection just for assets. Sorry if I sound like a broken record, but the whole point of this help desk stream is to like answer these types of questions. This is basically every single asset that I'm using in Night Owl. All of these, I mean, how many are they in this list? Let me double check. So I have 434 just on this list, but if you scroll all the way down, there's a few more extra collections. So for example, if you want all these like Belgium traditional architecture buildings, if you really like these, then you'll go into this collection, which has 26 buildings. And you can see there's some churches, some farmhouses, etc., 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 you can just subscribe to all of this. These are all by the Great Lost Gecko, in case you were wondering. But that's how that works. Let's say, Arthur says, my Prop It app doesn't have parking spaces listed though. Maybe have an old version or something. So, no, I mean, there's really no way of having an old version of a mod unless you specifically set Steam to be offline. So that's not really possible. What's probably happening is, actually, can you tell me which building you're having issues? If it's a vanilla building, I can try opening it up, because there is a limitation that I noticed, and this is something that I learned like 2 weeks ago, which may be what's happening to you. This is in buildings, like for example, actually, no, not this one, but I noticed this on one of the industries building. I think is it this one? It's like one of the large assets, not that one. Maybe this one. Here, let me put them down in a place where I can actually see what I'm doing. You know what? Let's do this instead. I'm gonna lay down a road far away from the city. Do I have any flatness of any kind? I guess I do have some flatness here. All right, so we're gonna put down this road right here. Let me bring the simulation to 50%. There we go. That's more like it. Okay, let me grab the industry that I was talking about. Is it this one? No, it's not this one. I'll find it. Just give me a second here. Not that one. I think it's this one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's this one. Okay. Okay, whatever. So this one, it's covered in trees. Let me delete all the trees. By the way, in Move It, if you this is also a thing that I recently learned. If you double click on the filter, it will unselect everything else but this filter. So that will be a bit of a time saver. So I can just do this, delete all the trees. So here's some parking spaces. If I go into Prop It Up and I click on this building, you'll see that there are no parking spaces. And I think the reason why this doesn't work with this super large assets is because I think it's called a sub building or something like that. Jay probably knows the technical aspect of why this happens, but since the prop is actually on another, technically there's like an asset built into this asset, and that is the asset that has these props, if that makes any sense. Which means that I can also remove these containers, which are awful. And that's, you know, this basically makes this whole asset unusable for me, because I don't want either of those things. But that's one reason why I might have it. You're saying that it happens on any building, even the one I just did. That's very strange. Try, let's see, what can you try? I mean, honestly, I would try to clear up the cache files. So like look for the Prop It Up XML files and maybe get rid of it. Like try to reset the mod so it starts fresh. Maybe you have some corrupted things. I noticed that the Prop It Up actually corrupted one of my save games the other day when I was like trying to do a lot of things at once. And I think autosave kicked in and it like messed it up. So props will like disappear on game load, which was really annoying. But other than that, I've never had any issues with this mod in general. It's been pretty solid overall. So maybe, yeah, just try that. That's a thing that I would do. If this is not working, just unsubscribe to it, clear all the files and resubscribe to it, like enable it, disable, maybe verify your game cache just to be sure. And it should work itself out because the mod works fine. And if that doesn't work, then you may have some other conflicting issue there. By the way, I'm gonna undo this change here, so I don't want to have all these crazy random things in the city. I'm gonna keep that road there for future reference. But Jay is saying I'm right. Okay, yeah, it's called like sub building, something like that. But Prop It Up can read the props of the of those sub buildings. On Twitch, someone was linking me. Oh yeah, this is the mod. Yay! Thank you, Silent Vendetta 7. This is the mod that may be causing the issues with network extensions and every other network for that matter. Just look for this toggle here, and that way you can turn the grid on and off. I wouldn't recommend using this mod anymore. It has been, I guess, recently updated, quote unquote recently updated, but you don't really need this, I don't think. Like, I don't know why you might want to get rid of the toggle. I guess you might want to add it in certain roads. I don't know if it adds it on like freeway roads, which are the ones that don't have it by default. Keep your main roads unblocked and have more effective clean zoning. Yeah, I guess it's used for this. If you zone, this use case, I guess I understand why you need it, but if you're just plopping buildings, I wouldn't recommend doing this, having this mod. Are you going to make outer suburbs? Yes, I am. I already kind of started on that, like several episodes ago. Like, suburbs are gonna look very much like these right here, in case you were wondering. These are the type of assets that I'm gonna be using. Oh, I hate that fucking grid. Sorry about that effing grid. It's kind of annoying. So yeah, suburbs are gonna be mostly like looking like this. Maybe less parking spaces, but yeah. Will you make industries in Nidal? Yeah, so there's going to be an industrial. If you're specifically talking about the industries expansion pack, the answer is no. I may use some of those buildings for aesthetic purposes, but I'm not gonna. I really don't care about maintaining or managing a supply chain of any kind. And we're definitely going to have industrial, like full-blown industrial areas. There's already quite a few industrial-looking things hidden here. I kind of like put them there because I needed to grow the city first. But yeah, there will be proper, visually industrial-looking neighborhoods in the city. Let's see. How do I rotate props and trees precisely? So there's another mod, if I'm not mistaken. So one thing that you have to excuse me is that there's a lot of mods that have been sort of combined into one another, or they sort of share features. But I remember there was there was a mod called Prop Precision. Yeah, by Samsung. So this mod allows you to actually have, because if you don't have this mod, you end up with things like this, where if you're trying to lay down a row of fences, they will sort of follow an invisible grid that is not perfect. But if you enable this mod, then you can just align it with decimals, basically. Not that you can actually control the numbers, but you can use your mouse cursor to have it perfectly aligned with way more precision, just like the mod says. So I highly encourage you to get this, and that should take care of that. Do you think a city could survive without creating industrial areas? Will they get items from other cities? Yeah, actually they do. You might have a little bit of traffic if you do that. The city can survive without anything, I think. Like, you cannot even zone residential and the city will still work, as far as I'm concerned. People will drive. Actually, no, residential might be the one thing that couldn't happen. But for sure, commercial and industrial, I don't think those are like mandatory. Obviously, the RCI meter will complain and all of that, but goods will probably still come from other places. I mean, that's an easy thing to try, by the way. You could just set up a city and try it out. But yeah, it could. Maybe without commercial. Now that I think about it, maybe commercial is also needed, because otherwise people will complain about jobs and then leave the city. If that's, I don't know. Might be worth trying out, but yeah. You can certainly do a visually a visual city that doesn't have any industrial, just for kicks. Even if it doesn't work, who cares? As long as you have a couple of cars driving every once in a while, that's all you really want. Let's see. I have more questions. I have almost 1,500 assets and 12 gigs of RAM, and my game is crashing always at loading. What should I do to unsubscribe to mods or assets? Okay. I don't think. I mean, it shouldn't unless those 1,500 assets are like really ultra detailed textures. 12 gigs of RAM shouldn't make your game crash. You might have something else going on there. I don't know if you have the loading screen mod. That is kind of like mandatory. There's 2 mods that are like mandatory, even if you're playing vanilla. Loading screen mod is one of them. I'll show it up right here. Get this one, not the test version. Test is only available when there's a game update. This will combine textures and try to improve your RAM usage for the most part, and it will like increase the speed, and also it will tell you which assets you're missing in the save game and everything else. It will generate an HTML report that you can click on directly into the workshop and things like that. This is one that you need, and then you're going to need another one. This is more lightweight. It's called Less Steam. This just improves how the game talks to the Steam servers, so it's a little bit faster to load things, especially when you subscribe. Now, when you want to unsubscribe to things, let's say you're tired of those 1,500 assets that you had, there's a quick way of unsubscribing to everything. You just go into your content tab under your username there, and workshop items, subscribed items, and then you have this button that says unsubscribe from all. If I click this right now, it'll probably crash my game because I'm actually running the game. But this will basically clean up your entire collection. Another option, which achieves the same effect, but it's temporary, is if you go into your properties for Cities Skylines, and then you set your launch options and you say no workshop, and click OK. The next time you launch the game, it will disable the connection to the workshop, to the Steam workshop. So it would be 100% vanilla instantly without you unsubscribing or resubscribing to anything. All you have to do then is get rid of this. If you want to revert the change, click OK, close, and then run the game again, and then all your assets will be immediately there. Well, I mean, so there's a lot of people saying that, oh, I have this many assets and this amount of RAM and it works fine. Yeah, so it really doesn't, the number of assets doesn't matter as much as how detailed those assets are. You can have like one asset that just, it's like a 16 gig texture, ultra detailed texture in it. And if you only have 8 gigs of RAM, it's probably not going to work fine. So, you know, I can have like literally 10,000 3D assets, for the lack of a better word, with like really low detailed textures, and maybe we'll use like 4 gigs of RAM. So, you know, those numbers don't necessarily mean much just by themselves. Yeah. Good call. So Jay is saying that if you do no workshop, like I was saying before, if you have locally installed mods, which most people probably don't have, but right now, for example, the extra Move It version that I'm using, it's currently running locally. It's not in the workshop. I have it right here on a folder. So if you use no workshop, all these local mods or, you know, whatever assets you have are gonna load even within no workshop turned on. How should I plan the central area of my city? Evan asks. Well, I mean, it really depends. I don't usually plan all that much. I just go by gut feeling and just keep adding things. So like, for example, and I'll try to be more specific in just a second, but just want to illustrate how I go about things, because maybe this will be helpful to you in the future. Let's say I have, I don't know, this area right here with some roads, but it's mostly empty. So it's like, okay, do I need like a big sort of landmark here, or do I need to expand my suburbs? So it's like, okay, no, I already have quite a few plazas and landmarks. I need to do some suburb expansion, or just more of these like medium density buildings. So then I just like lay them down, and then once I get to like a major road, it's like, okay, what next? Do I need like a government building, or am I missing anything important? That's sort of the checklist that I go through in my mind, and that way I just keep working as I go. But I eyeball pretty much everything, especially in a city like Night Owl, which all the streets are kind of random anyways. If it was more of an American looking city, I would probably plan it a bit, but not. I mean, honestly, the only tool that I found for, planning that really works for me in terms of getting ideas for the most part is just Google Maps. So planning a central area of your city is kind of a wide question, but just I would say just find a city that you like in real life. Just go on Google Maps and try to like sort of replicate it a little bit, or use that as a base layout, and then just add your own spin to things. That's what I'd probably recommend. Oh, we have what is that? Oh, we have a super chat. Martin, thank you, by the way, for your support. He's saying, have you considered the procedural objects mod? It seems a great way to reducing prop counts, etc., and allows less overlapping. Yeah, so Literal Monkeys has been lobbying quite a bit for me to switch to procedural objects. The main reason why I haven't switched to it yet, well, there's two reasons. One is I've seen people use it, and it seems kind of like overwhelming, which is not, a deal breaker or anything like that. But the main reason why I haven't used it is because I haven't had the need for it. Like everything that I wanted to build so far, I was able to get away with just using props. In fact, I can show you my prop count. It's still pretty low. I've only used 3,000 props out of the 65,000s. If I get to like the 60k mark-ish, I mean, I'm probably gonna use procedural objects before then. I wouldn't wait that long. There's a couple projects that I want to tackle that definitely need procedural objects, but I haven't gotten to that point just yet. So I guess to answer your question, I have considered it. I probably will use it, but it will take a little while. I feel like that's honestly, it's like a rabbit hole. If I get that, it's just, I'm gonna turn this into Blender, which is, I like being limited by the game a little bit. But yeah, I know I'm gonna end up going for it. I can feel it. Arthur says people shouldn't be afraid of using a reference. They help a lot. Dude, I've used so many, I've copied like specific chunks of places in real life a lot. Like for example, when I did this, man, wow, the frame rate is terrible. Let me point to the water so it's marginally better. This bridge right here, even though it doesn't look exactly the same as the one I was inspired by in real life. Also, these props moved out of place. I need to fix that. This was copied, or at least heavily inspired by a bridge in northern France that I've been to. I even show some clips of the actual bridge as I was working on this. The vehicles run slowly. Is that a mod or record effect? Or record effect? Yeah, that's a mod. It's called the speed slider. So the default speed is a little bit too fast. So a couple things. I use this mod primarily for recording because when I'm doing time lapses, if I leave it at 100% speed, which is the game regular speed, the camera moves way too much and it's like too shaky. So I usually bring this down to like 20% when I'm recording. So now all of my movements are eased to a significant degree, which makes it, when I speed it up in post, it just makes it look much more friendly. This was a technique that Press started doing it, and I totally copied it. If you watch his videos, you'll see that everything is even like pretty smooth, even in the fastest of time lapses, and that in turn makes cars drive at a more reasonable speed. So usually when I'm doing live streams, I usually keep it at 50 or so %, which is a realistic speed, if you ask me. And also have the realistic speed mod for the people walking. So you can see how the steps, because if you don't have that mod, then people are like ice skating on sidewalks, which doesn't make a lot of sense. So now at least the walking simulation, it's not perfect, but it's, you know, close enough. Also, this car is just like, I'm sick of waiting. I'm just gonna cut through here. Great. Good for you, dude. The background jazz music is sick. Yeah, this is, by the way, this is a Spotify playlist. It's the Chill Hop Cafe, which I'm gonna get flagged for, but I technically have a license to use this music, so thank you, YouTube. Probably get flagged on Twitch as well. Let's see. Sometimes I download an asset, and when I load this save game, it says the asset is not found, and it repeats the whole time, so I can't play. Do you know why? I don't think I fully understand your question. Let's see. Download an asset. I load the save games. Can you repeat your question? I don't quite understand. So you got an asset from the workshop, I'm assuming, because local assets and workshop assets behave very differently. Even if they're like literally the same file, the workshop version of the asset is not considered the same as the local version of the asset. Again, even if the files are literally the same. But I'm not sure if that's what you mean exactly. And in fact, if you can send me the link to the asset that you're having issues with, I might be able to even help you further with that. Holly's asking, doesn't the red signs on the river bother you? The path underwater? Yeah, a lot of people are bothered by that. I don't really care. I mean, there's already like so many like notifications for workers and buildings that I turned off and other crap like that, that this just like, I don't even notice them anymore. So what I think I'm going to do is, because there's so many of you that are really annoyed by this, I'm just going to get the no problems mod, which I can show you. I'm actually going to add it to the collection right now before I forget. So no problems. In this mod, if you're going to use this mod, proceed with caution, because it's a great mod, but idle mods only. This is how you add things to your things. I'm not going to subscribe right now because it's going to crash my game. But this mod, since it will hide everything from you, some issues, like it doesn't actually fix the problems, it just hides the notifications. So if you have like fires or anything like that, you would not be notified of such problems, which means that you're gonna have big issues in your city. So be careful with these. For hiding flooding, like I have here, it should be okay. But yeah. And I know someone sent me a link to a guide someone put together of a way to avoid having these notifications by following a few steps. I feel like that's quite a bit of work, but that's another option if you really don't want to use mods. It's up on, actually the link is on just in the comment section of my very last Night Owl video, which is episode 15 if I'm not mistaken. I don't know the asset, that's why, and loading screen can find it, but never mind. So yeah, loading screen, if loading screen tells you that the asset is missing, go into the settings of loading screen. Actually, I might be able to show you. So loading screen mod, make sure that this option is turned on, which will create an HTML file, which I can actually show you here. Let me pull it up on my other monitor. Let's see. Where did it load this thing? Oh, there we go. All right. So what you see on the screen is the report for this save game that we're looking at right now. Like when it loaded the game just before I started the stream, it created this asset report. So if there's something that's not found, it will tell you it will give you a link. But if that asset that you're missing, it's like, let's say, and this happens, it's not very often that this happens, but it has happened before where people just straight up take stuff down from the workshop and it's no longer there. It will try to link you to it, and it will be gone. At that point, you're screwed. Like, there's really nothing you can do. You need to like either manually remove whatever's calling that asset, or just be annoyed by the errors. But if it can't be found and it's no longer in the workshop, that's it. There's really nothing else you can do. And honestly, every time I load this game, there's like at least like 10 assets that are not there. Honestly, I haven't noticed anything that I cared enough about. Also, yeah, this is great, by the way. It will tell you which assets you have that are not necessary in this city. So you can unsubscribe to all this stuff if you really wanted to. Obviously, I'm going to be using this in the future. That's why I don't. But if you really want to optimize your asset count, this is one great way to figure that out. Sorry, I couldn't be more specific with that answer, sir, but that might point you at least in the right direction. Let's say, John says, if I zoom out just a little, my game loses all definition. I have 1060 with 3 gigs, a 4K setup though. Any ideas? Tree LOD fix mod is set to ultra. So all the buildings load a lower resolution. Like, for example, look at this building. Pay attention to this building. If I zoom out a little bit more, you see how like the windows are gone? That is because the game, it's an optimization technique where I can actually maybe manually show you. Here, let me zoom out. So this is the city as it would normally look like when you're zooming out. But I can toggle what it's called the LODs, or level of detail version. So you can, I'm toggling it right now. Now it's off, now it's on. You can see how much extra detail things get. That's just how the game works. When you're zoomed out too much, it just loads a lower poly version of each building, because otherwise loading this entire city, it would put a burden on your GPU. So trees have their own model, or their own sort of instructions on how to render when you're far away. So like if you look at these buildings, you can see how I'm zooming in and out. This is the point where they render the full version or not. Even if you use the trees LOD fix, it won't, and I'm gonna have it set to ultra as well. It won't get any better than this, unfortunately. Trees look terrible, and far away trees at least look terrible in this game. There's really not, at least so far, there hasn't been an update. I actually talked about that with one of the developers of the game, and they're like, no, I mean, we think it's fine. So I wouldn't get my hopes high for that to be fixed. In fact, I think it got even a little bit worse after the Park Life update. So yeah, not much you can do about that. But the city should look okay mostly when you're zooming out. So yeah, not really sure what's happening locally in your computer, but that's why, at least that's what's gonna happen. That's what's happening in the background. That's what I'm trying to explain. I'm trying to keep props and assets below 1,000, but it's too hard when modders use lots of different props. How do you combat this yourself? I don't combat that myself at all. 1,000, like, that doesn't really mean anything. The only thing I care about is not maxing out my memory, and right now I'm using half of my memory. So that's more important than the number of assets. I was just showing people here. I don't know if you just joined the stream, but I have 32 gigs of RAM and I'm using half of it. And I have no idea how many assets I'm actually using. Like, I never pay attention to that number because it really doesn't mean anything. What matters is how big those assets are, like how detailed the textures are. And that's what uses up all your memory, or your video memory for that matter. So don't limit yourself by that number. Just monitor your specs, and at some point, if you're maxing out your computer, then I mean, it really doesn't matter. You're gonna have to start picking and choosing what you wanna use in your city and what you don't. And like I said just a second ago, loading screen mod will give you a good indication to which assets you're subscribed to that you're not really using, so you can unsubscribe to them. So the bigger the asset, the more intensive it is. Not necessarily. You can have like, for example, this train station. You would think like, oh, this one is like way too big. It's probably like 1 billion megs, and that may not necessarily be true. Like what I'm talking about is like how detailed. So like imagine all these textures. And Jay, if you're still in chat, you might be able to explain this better than me. But all these textures that you see here, I mean, there's already the mesh, right? There's like actual mathematics that make this building what it is, like the shapes and everything. Those are like nodes and shapes and polygons, basically, is what they are. But just imagine this as just a bunch of text that defines the coordinates of every one of these geometry pieces. But on top of that, each one of those pieces of geometry have their own textures. And textures are literally like JPEGs or PNGs or whatever you want to call it. And those are like actual images. So if you have a building that has like ultra detailed textures, that would in turn make the asset kind of heavy in terms of file size, and that needs to be loaded in memory to be able to be shown in the game. And I'm oversimplifying things, by the way, here, but a building as large as this actually may have one single ultra detailed texture, but it's repeated over and over again, which means that it's actually heavily optimized, and the size of it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be, you know, a large file. I mean, maybe it's a good rule of thumb to assume that a large building with tons of detail might be pretty heavy, but it's not, you know, it could vary from building to building. You could have like a bench that has like realistic looking wood. For example, like these hedges, like look how tiny these hedges are. And I think these are Ronixes. Like the amount of detail in this tiny hedge that's barely visible from this level may have a really heavy or size and texture that's actually pretty, you know, heavy, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Jay is saying meshes are reasonably light. Obviously, some are a ton of geometry. Oh yeah, like that's another thing. Like some people just grab cars or buildings straight up from the SketchUp warehouse and import them into the game without optimizing it, and that will like actually make your computer not great. You have to look for try counts. Usually, it's a good idea, especially if you're. I don't really look at try counts because I know my computer can usually handle it. But if you're like on that thin spot where your computer can barely process that, you might want to look into how people are optimizing their assets. So, for example. And again, Jay might be able to explain this better, but if you could look on buildings, you can see the tries. It's a triangle count. For a building like this, I don't know, this seems like a reasonable amount, but if this was like 20,000, actually there's this meme going on in the Cities Skylines community where like there's a tiny prop. Do we have it here? The barrels, the famous barrels, and this is vanilla, by the way. I think it's like one of these. Oh, I think it's this one. This one is like, I don't know, like 65,000 tries, and it's like a tiny prop. And if you look at it closer, you can see how like smooth these shapes are, and that's because there's a lot of triangles here. This is definitely overkill for for what this asset is. I mean, look, you're going to be looking at this asset from like at least this distance every time. So having that amount of detail here, it's like not even noticeable. It's not worth it. That's sort of the point that I'm trying to make. But Jay is saying textures are often where things break down. Keep in mind that a 4K texture is a 16 times 1K texture in terms of memory, even if they're plain. Oh yeah, like if it's just like solid white, it's still like an image that has all those pixels. So when you're loading into VRAM, they use a lot of memory. Yeah, that makes sense. So Jay is also suggesting basically try to use assets from well-known and well-reviewed creators. 100% agree with that. Mesh mod info is your friend. Yeah, there's a, oh yeah, that's a good call. I don't have it, but let me see if I can pull it up. Actually, I may have it, but I don't remember the shortcut. Mesh, I think it's called Mesh Info or something like that. Yeah, Mesh Info by Samsung. So Mesh Info, if you subscribe to this mod, do I actually have it? No. If you subscribe to this mod, it will pull up, once you load a save game, it will pull up a list of all the assets that you have, and it will actually give you a ton of information. So for example, here, it actually will tell you how big the files are and how many triangles they have, and Samsung was kind enough to actually color code these, so you know when you're like going crazy with these textures. By the way, the reason why there's two textures here, so for example, for weight and for texture and even for triangles, there's two values for each one of these threes. So the first value is the regular value when you're zoomed in and you look at the asset very close up, and then the second value is the LOD, which loads up when you're zooming out, which is what we were talking about a second ago. That way you can see the level of detail on all of these things. Clearly this Volkswagen Buzz wasn't super optimized. Actually, let's publicly shame this asset. Let's find it by ID. Actually, here, let's write it here. So this is 446728915. I'm reading this number, by the way, and I know this is the Steam ID. So let's open that up in a new tab. Let's see what this looks like. Volkswagen Buzz by Shrimblaze. So this one is a good example of something that you might want to avoid. He actually put down the tries here. But for cars, like this is a little bit too much. So you want to stay away from these kinds of assets if you really are, unless, I mean, if you must have this very specific Volkswagen Buzz, then just go for it. Like, but if you're running short on computer specs, you might want to look for another version. I think I actually have a Volkswagen Buzz that is not that crazy. I guess not. Oh, I had it on my other project. Okay, never mind. Let's see. Can we see the city in isometric camera again? Sure, why not? Why not? Let's change that FOV to 20. So when you change the, oh, never mind. When you change the FOV to 20 like this, the game, like the math that's happening in the background makes it all look undetailed because it's kind of far. It looks like I'm zoomed in, but I'm actually kind of far away. And obviously the LOD versions of the buildings show up. You can actually see how these buildings suddenly look flat. But I have a mod called LOD Toggler, which is not that shortcut, it's this shortcut. So you can actually see the difference between the LOD versions and the full detailed versions. Especially on these buildings, like on this corner, just pay attention there, you can see that. Anyways, here's the isometric view. The SimCity 4 version of this. I wish that, there we go. I thought that this would translate, oh, there we go. No, that's what I was looking for. The trees, unfortunately, are not affected by that mod. That's very unfortunate, but that's what's happening. You can see how like they load the right design when I zoom in. I need to actually fix these planters. Yeah, it's basically SimCity 4, not all SimCity 4. If I zoom out, it gets really crazy. What are the most resource-intensive mods in your opinion? I have heard that any road alteration mod, no crosswalks, road color changer, as well as texture altering mods. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't really know the answer to that. I would imagine that like one of those like Road United mods, which I've stopped using forever ago, are probably a little bit intensive in terms of resources. But honestly, when I load my save games, they're laggy no matter what. And I don't necessarily think it's because of road related issues, but it's possible. I honestly don't know 100%. Do mods eat RAM or not? It depends on the mod. Most mods, I would say, they don't eat a lot of RAM. I think it's mostly assets that do the heavy damage in terms of actual memory usage. But I'm sure there's at least a couple mods that require some RAM resources to be able to function properly. But I would say it's not the norm, it's sort of the exception to the rule. Yeah, Jay's saying Road United is pretty heavy. Oh yeah, Traffic Manager is pretty heavy as well, because that is actually altering the behavior of the AI. Theme Mixer is heavy, really? Are you saying that I'm like screwing myself up by using Theme Mixer? Road Color Changer shouldn't be pretty heavy. I think it just literally changes the shade of a color of existing like meshes and things. I don't think that will, I don't think that will affect that negatively. Let's go over here. Man, I really need to work on this area a little bit more. Rocky's saying Traffic Manager President's Edition with Advanced AI on Rash Hour, which is dead now. Plus realistic population and consumption was a nightmare. Yeah, I feel like, you're like literally pushing all the sliders to the max. When you're using that mod. Oh, that makes sense. Jay's saying that you're loading a bunch of 4K themes all at once. That would explain things. Well, but I mean, in terms of Theme Mixer, I'm only using vanilla and Reinhold. Let's see. Let's double check this. Theme Mixer. Oh yeah, I'm loading both Cedar Valley 4K and Reinhold. I should probably unsubscribe to Cedar Valley. I don't really need it for Nidal. That might help things a little bit. Yeah, I'm gonna give that a shot later on. Actually, while I'm at it, I want to just unsubscribe right now. Collections. Official collection. I'm pretty sure Cedar Valley is like the first on the list. Yep, because for some reason when you create a collection, like Steam like forces you to like add a thing. So since I have this as a favorite from that, that long ago, I just picked this one almost by default all the time, but I don't really need this here anymore. So this is still like one of my favorite themes to this day, but I wanted to try something different for Nidal. So that's why we're using Reinhold, which if you want to get, you need to become friends with Hadiz or support her on her Patreon page. She makes some really good content. You're mixing like 6 themes? Holy crap. At that point, you might as well just create your own theme, I feel like. Meanwhile, my computer gets fried if I put a single tree. Man, I tried playing Cities Skylines on like a 2015 MacBook a while back, and oh my god. It's a 2012 MacBook Pro. I mean, even vanilla was like, holy dude, I just can't. So Traffic Manager is pretty heavy because it uses, it changes I think it's actually pretty CPU heavy because it affects how the AI works, and AI is mostly driven by CPU resources. I think that's what's happening there. How long have we been streaming for? Like an hour and a half. All right. We're gonna start winding things down here. I'll answer a couple more questions, so make sure they count, and I'll try to host one of these help desk sessions again in the future. Unless you hated them, in which case I won't. But can really notice a better AI. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it like it makes it amazing. It just basically affects how it works, and because of that, it uses more resources. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's better. I mean, it is better, I think, in my opinion. It does solve a few issues that the vanilla AI doesn't. But by the way, I love this neighborhood. It looks so good. Not that the rest of the city doesn't look good, obviously. Until last year, I was playing all my games on Windows XP. How is that even possible? How I mean, XP, I guess ATM's still running XP, so, but it's, dude, that's actually really dangerous. XP has a ton of security issues these days because it's no longer being supported by Microsoft. I would understand Windows 7, but XP sounds like, if I had a computer with XP for like old games and stuff like that, like LGR style, I would probably have it offline at this point. Or just with, not really have it on a virtual LAN that's not really in my network. That's what I will at least try to do. Let's see. I wish a theme mixer would actually like allow you to save things. What is this? This is a problem here. This building doesn't belong here. I need to go fix that immediately. I'm not going to do it on camera, but like, what the crap just happened here? This should not have happened. I don't know what's going on there. Looks like the city's ready for when the sea level rises. Oh, that's just a hoax. That's never going to happen. I don't mean that, by the way, in case you didn't get my sarcasm there. Yeah, I guess it's tall enough for a couple of years, but eventually it's going to be all underwater. Some of these, I mean, there's hills here, so I'm guessing like by the time the sea level rises all the way up to here, this is annoying. I need to fix this. Sorry, I can't really wait. Also, it's an easy fix. I feel like by the time the sea level rises up to this edge, a big chunk of the population, or at least cities, will be sort of underwater, and maybe that will cause emissions to be reduced just by the fact that everything is flooded. I was thinking about that the other day. I wonder if that's going to be a thing. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of industry and that's going to move, uphill, but still, like, that may be a wake-up call for some people. I don't know. Hopefully for the majority of people. Enough that it will at least start slowing down the trend. But yeah. Beach says, do you mind helping me out here with some of the questions or no? If you have a couple questions, I'll answer them really quickly. But I'm actually wrapping the stream right now. So yeah, fire away. What's the most pressing question that you have right now? I'll do my best to answer them. I don't even know if this is how this was supposed to look like. By the way, I'm gonna save this change before I forget. Also, I need to maybe delete the bus stop that I put together up here, because up here there's gonna be something else. In the meantime, let me give you some quick announcements. On Monday, which basically 48 hours ish from now, I'm gonna start a collab with someone that's not Jay or Flux. Don't be mad, Jay, if you're still in the chat. It's gonna be a Minecraft collab. We're gonna be playing Stoneblock with Mr. Jack Patillo. We're trying to set up a server right now. Oh, you wanted to help other people? Yes, yep. By all means, go ahead. Yeah, I don't mind. You might get flagged from YouTube if you like post links and stuff like that, but yeah, by all means, impart some knowledge. Anyways, we're gonna be hosting a just playing Stoneblock from beginning to end, I'm hoping, and that's gonna be only on Twitch. So make sure to follow me on Twitch and make sure to tune in. It will be around I think like 10 p.m. Eastern time. And 7 p.m. Pacific time, US time, I mean. So yeah, that should be exciting. How many FPS do you have? It depends on where I look. If I look straight up to the ground, I get like 25 or maybe 30 if the map is empty. If I look at the city, it dips down to like 7. And by the way, I'm playing at 5K right now, just so you know. Not that it really matters. It really doesn't make a difference, but this is my current resolution. It's 5,760 by, like, the number is so tiny you can't even read it. It's also on the opposite side of where I'm looking at in my monitor. But even if I bring this down to like 100%, which will be 4K, it behaves the same. Even if I bring this to 1080p, there's like no improvement in any FPS. Also, I have the LODs turned on. That doesn't help. You can see it on the screen right now, 13 FPS. But if I go out of the city and like zoom in like by the water, I get like 47. Yay! Look how fluid this is. Should probably put that back in there. All right. I think that was the last question. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. I'm going to try to maybe host another one of these in the near future. I'll definitely schedule it probably the day before or something like that. Make sure to follow me on Twitter to be notified when one of these is coming up, as well as getting sneak peeks of Night Owl primarily. I've been posting a lot of screenshots lately there, so something to keep in mind. Let's get rid of that over there. There we go. That's a nice. We can look at Jay's bridge in the distance there. All pretty. With decent frame rate. There we go. That's a nice finishing angle. Twitter.com/StreakToaster. If you're watching this on Twitch and you haven't been to my YouTube channel, there should be a link below to my YouTube channel. Otherwise, you can go to youtube.com/StreakToaster, and that way you can see the city that you currently see on the screen. It's actually part of a series that I'm working on. I'm on episode 15th. They're all like 15-20 minutes long, so you may be able to catch up this weekend if you really want to binge watch all the episodes. I get a lot of comments from people saying that they do that in a weekend, so that might be something you might be interested in. That'll be kind of insane, but you just go for it. No one's stopping you. Anyways, thank you all so much for tuning in, and hope to see you guys in the next one. Have a great weekend.